name's Nick Roach, professional linebacker, and today's pro tip is going to be on the proper way to play outside leverage man coverage on a tight end or a running back. In a lot of defenses, the linebacker is going to have to match up versus tight ends and running backs, and most man coverages call for what's called outside leverage, which basically means that whenever he releases on his route or wherever he's to run up the field, you don't want to let him get to your outside shoulder. Saying the quarterback is in here, so wherever he goes, you always want to stay, on the outside half of him and only give him one direction to go. Basically, you're going to have help on the inside from free players. So if you were to let him get outside of you and get to the sideline, you wouldn't have any help for the routes to go out that way. So the first thing about outside leverage is just where to line up before the ball snap. So say my friend Nick here is a tight end, and I'm playing a linebacker, playing outside leverage man on him. I don't want to be too tight, because once he releases, if he were to step out, he would already be outside of me, and then I'm trying to catch up. So I want to kind of give myself enough room to where if he was to step out, that I still will be able to maintain my outside position. If he's a step up field as opposed to out, I'm able to be out here. If he goes back in the stance, you don't want to be too far out, because then he could run a route where he just runs right away from you, and it's too hard for you to catch him. So you're playing catch up right from the beginning. So basically they usually say his outside foot to your inside foot is a good relationship to have when you line up. You don't want to be too tight, because if you're too close to him, any move that he does, you have a tendency to overreact. So wherever he goes, you might feel threatened really quick. If he steps out, you jump out, and then he can get upfield really fast on you, which is a bad thing. So just far enough, a comfortable distance where you feel like you can react and have time to play your technique. So we get down, and I'm gonna have Nick. He's just gonna run straight up field first, just so you can see if he was running a seam route, just the relationship that you want to have. So I get in my stance, nice and comfortable, hands off. I don't want to throw both hands at him. I don't want to step at him when I'm in man coverage, because if he releases upfield while I'm trying to step at him, then that gives him the chance to just run by me, and my hip is locked, and I have to turn around, and it's hard to catch up. So basically, I'm here in my stance, nice and comfortable, and what I'm looking at is his hip. A lot of guys go wrong. They look at the shoulders, and the shoulders can do a lot of faking. And the main thing is to think about, they can't go anywhere without their midsection. So if you stare right here at his hip, especially his outside hip being out here, it's going to be hard for him to juke you or fake you out with the way that he's going to go. So he starts running upfield, and I'm looking at his hip, staring here, and I use this just as a guide hand. And what you see I'm doing with my feet is I'm kind of opening up, because the place that I want to be is 1 yard outside of him and 1 yard behind him. I have help over the top from my safeties, and I have help inside from my lower hole player, which is probably another linebacker or another safety. So while he's running upfield, I just try to maintain this distance where I can have my hand on his hip, staring at his hip. So whatever route that he runs, if he keeps going straight, I'm just here, and I hear one of my buddies will give me a ball call if they're throwing it to him. The quarterback throws it to him, and I can try to play his hands from the outside, and then hopefully my help from the inside is coming to help me out. So that was for a seam route. You just want to maintain your leverage and hope the help is coming. Say if he runs up 5 yards and he wants to break in. So same thing, you always start off the same way, not too far, not too close, looking at his outside hip. So the ball's hiked, he runs upfield, and I don't know what route he's going to run yet, so I'm in my proper position. He breaks inside. Once I see him break, I want to try to undercut the route, which means once I see him break, I don't want to keep running, get over the top of him, because then the ball has an easy entryway to him. When I want to undercut the route, I see where he's going to break. Once he goes in, I basically try to beat him to the spot. And I don't want to look up for the quarterback until I see his hands start to go up, or see him, a lot of receivers, their eyes will get big when the ball's coming. And those are just indicators while you're looking at your man that the ball is going to come. So once the ball's coming, I'm throwing the ball back. He breaks in, the ball's coming, I see his hands get ready. I want to try to undercut it and put my hand here, either rake his hand once the ball comes, or just block the ball down with my outside arm. If I reach with this arm and the ball somehow gets by me, then he's able to catch it and run upfield, and I'm not in position to make the tackle. The reason you want to reach with this arm is because if I do miss the ball when he catches it, then I still have this arm to be able to grab him and make a tackle and then hold on, to make the tackle after that. So if he runs an out route, he's going to go up, 5 or 10 yards and do the same thing. So the ball's hiked, he comes up, I give him his space, I'm looking at his hip, and I want to let him beat me, so I have to be patient. He breaks out, and then it's just easy for me to be here on his outside since I'm there already. And then once the ball's coming, I'm just going to be in between him and the ball, and make a one-handed catch and intercept it and go score. So it's pretty, when they break out is really what you want because that's the leverage that you have anyway. One of the harder routes that a lot of tight ends run is what's called a 7 route, which is they run up about 10, 12 yards and then they break at an angle to the corner. So just for sake of the drill, he's going to run up 5 yards and break at an angle. So the ball snaps, he's going. I let him come up, I'm patient on his hip, and once he gets to 5 yards, he breaks out like this. And it's hard because you're in your position between him and the ball. You don't have any help outside, but the ball's going to end up being thrown high over your head. So the best thing you can do is when the ball's coming, just see his hands go up and try to play his hands, try to play the ball and knock it down, with the same technique as you would an in route. And then the last route that's pretty common for tight ends to run against us is it's pretty much called a deep over. It's kind of self-explanatory. They run up the field about 10, 12 yards, and they just bend it on a curve, to the other hash mark. And they know that we have outside leverage, so they're pretty much running away from our coverage. And this is where we have to rely on their help inside. But same technique. I get down, ball's hiked, staring at his hip, watching him run upfield. Once he starts to go, and it's not a sharp cut, but I see him start to bend it across. And the best thing I can do is try to just sprint, try to make up all the ground to undercut him because the ball's, again, going to be lobbed. It's going to be hard for me to get there. So I have to try to just club his hand down or swipe the ball and hope that my safety's coming to blow him up. So that's today's pro tip on outside leverage man coverage versus tight ends. Running backs is the same thing. So.